The most popular fruit tree in America is also one of the hardest to actually keep alive. Every spring, nurseries sell apple trees by the truckload, and almost none of them mention that an apple demands more spraying, pruning, and constant babysitting than nearly any fruit you can plant. Fire blight, codling moth, apple scab. A backyard apple is a part-time job with a chemical shelf attached, and the strangest part is that we plant them anyway, out of pure habit, while a whole set of trees sits ignored that outproduce apples with a fraction of the trouble. Some of these fruit in 2 years instead of 5. Some shrug off the diseases that would wipe out an apple orchard. And one of them can hand you over 600 pounds of fruit from a single tree while asking almost nothing in return. Here are the ones worth planting instead, and the first was the favorite fruit of the men who founded the country, the pawpaw. George Washington ate pawpaws for dessert. Thomas Jefferson planted them at Monticello. Lewis and Clark, running low on supplies deep in the wilderness, survived a stretch of their expedition largely on them, and almost nobody alive today has ever tasted one. Here's what they were all after. The pawpaw is the largest edible fruit native to North America, and it tastes like nothing you'd expect from a temperate climate. Tropical custard, somewhere between mango and banana, growing wild in the same woods as oak and maple. A mature tree gives you 25 to 50 pounds a year, has effectively zero pest problems because no local insect evolved to attack it, and thrives in the shade at the edge of a forest where most fruit would sulk. So why has no one heard of it? Because the fruit is soft and bruises in days, which means it physically cannot be shipped or sold in a store. The only way to eat a pawpaw is to grow it or know someone who does. Plant 2 different varieties so they pollinate, give them a few years, and you get a tropical dessert off a tree that survives a hard northern winter. The next one, an entire ancient culture called the food of the gods. The American persimmon. Its scientific name, Diospyros, translates roughly to food of the gods, and when Captain John Smith's colonists first tasted a fully ripe one in 1607, they wrote that they prized it above every other native fruit they found. There's a catch built into that word, ripe, and it's the whole story of this tree. Bite a persimmon too early and it is mouth-puckeringly, unforgettably astringent, the kind of bad first impression that makes people swear off it forever. Wait until it is completely soft, almost jelly-like, and that same fruit turns into something that tastes like honey crossed with apricot and brown sugar. A mature tree produces 35 to 75 pounds a year, needs zero spray, and actively prefers poor soil and drought that would stress a pampered orchard tree. It evolved right here alongside the native ecosystem, so almost nothing bothers it. You plant it, you wait, and you learn patience. Then it feeds you every autumn for decades. The next one has been cultivated so long it beat wheat to the finish line. The fig. Archaeologists have found evidence that humans were deliberately growing figs before we grew wheat, before barley, before any grain crop on Earth. That makes the fig arguably the oldest cultivated fruit in human history, roughly 11,000 years of people choosing to plant it. Thomas Jefferson called it his favorite fruit of all. 11,000 years of selection produced a tree that is almost suspiciously easy. A fig gives you 50 to 100 pounds a year, and some varieties produce 2 separate crops in a single season. It's self-fertile, so one tree fruits on its own with no partner needed. It has virtually no pest or disease problems in a home garden, and it starts producing in year 2, not year 5. Cold climate is the only real obstacle, and even that has an answer. Hardy varieties like Chicago Hardy survive cold winters by dying back and regrowing each spring, and a fig in a pot can simply be wheeled indoors when the frost comes. The next one, the Chinese have grown for 4,000 years and nicknamed the poor man's fruit, the jujube. For 4,000 years, Chinese growers have called this tree the poor man's fruit, and it is not an insult. It's the highest compliment a fruit tree can get because it means anyone can grow it on any soil with any level of skill and still come away with a harvest. The jujube is the tree that thrives on neglect. It tolerates heat, drought, and dead poor soil that would kill almost anything else. And once established, it needs basically no irrigation, even in near-desert conditions. A mature tree hands you 40 to 100 pounds of fruit while, in the grower's words, basically ignoring you. Fresh, it tastes like a sweet, crisp apple. Dried, it turns chewy and rich like a date and stores for years on a shelf with no refrigeration at all. Most varieties are self-fertile, so you only need one. And American insects mostly don't even recognize it as food, so pests leave it alone. The next two were treasures of the old world that we somehow just forgot: the medlar and the quince. These two ruled the old European orchard and then vanished so completely that most people have never heard either name. Shakespeare wrote medlars into his plays. Medieval gardeners considered them essential. And when the Greek myths spoke of golden apples, many scholars believed they meant quince, not apples at all. Take them together, because they solve the same problem in similar ways. The quince produces 50 to 100 pounds of intensely aromatic fruit a year, and crucially, it resists fire blight, the exact bacterial disease that devastates apple and pear orchards. You can't eat it raw, but cooked it becomes the most fragrant jelly and paste imaginable, and a single quince will perfume an entire room for weeks. The medlar is even stranger. Its fruit has to be bledded, left to soften and go brown after picking until the flesh turns sweet. And properly done, it tastes like spiced apple butter with hints of wine and honey. It's completely pest and disease-free in a modern garden and produces 20 to 40 pounds a year off a tree that asks for almost nothing. Two forgotten treasures, both easier than the apple that replaced them. And now the one that makes every number so far look small: the mulberry. For over 4,000 years, the silk industry across Asia was built on this single tree, planted everywhere because nothing else grew so reliably or so abundantly. And that reputation was earned. A mature mulberry can produce 300 to 600 pounds of fruit in one season. Read that again next to the apple we started with. 600 pounds from one tree, requiring almost nothing. No spray schedule, no fire blight, no coddling moth, no scab. The fruit ripens over 6 to 8 weeks instead of dumping all at once, so you actually get to use it, and you harvest by spreading a tarp under the branches and giving them a shake until it rains berries. It's self-fertile, so one tree is enough, and it grows from a simple cutting, which means one tree quickly becomes enough for your whole street. There's a pointed little truth in why you've never seen these at a nursery counter. A mulberry gives you 600 pounds of fruit and never asks for another thing you have to buy. No annual chemicals, no special sprays, nothing. From a business built on selling you inputs season after season, a tree like that is almost useless, which is exactly why it belongs in your yard and not theirs. So line them up against that apple tree everyone plants on autopilot. A tropical dessert the founding fathers loved. A fruit an ancient culture named for the gods. The oldest crop in human history. A tree that fruits on pure neglect. Two treasures the old world forgot. And a single mulberry that outproduces an entire apple orchard and shrugs off every disease that would flatten it. Not one of them needs the spraying, the babysitting, the constant chemical calendar an apple demands. Your great-grandparents grew persimmons and mulberries and quinces precisely because they produced reliably without anything bought from a shelf. Then we were sold the idea that fruit requires a spray schedule, and a whole generation planted the one tree that proves it. You never needed the apple. You just needed someone to tell you what it replaced. So tell me, what fruit tree has disappointed you the most? The apple you sprayed all season, the peach that never fruited? Drop it in the comments. And if you already grow one of these, tell me your real yield and your zone.